Hello everyone and welcome to this section. I'm super excited to introduce that section to you because it's extremely relevant to like a lot of our applications in self-driving cars, which is simply if you wanted to do what we call it region of interest masking, okay? Let's assume that we have, for example, we're put like a camera in front of your self-driving car and you're obtaining images, okay? And for example, let's assume that you are performing pedestrian detection or vehicle detection, okay? All right, first of all, I don't wanna, I know for sure that I'm not gonna be looking for a car in the sky, for instance, right? So if I have this image, for example, I don't need to apply my, algorithms or actually check or train or run the algorithms on an image, for example, of the sky or of these trees, for instance, okay? I don't really care. And that's why I need to perform what we call it region of interest masking. I need to take that image, which is the full image that I get from the camera, and actually kind of refocus my efforts to look at an object within a specific area, which is I know that they're going to be existing in. Okay, let's take a look at another example. Let's assume that I wanted, for instance, to detect both my lane lines. Okay. All right. So what I'm looking for, then I'm looking for these two lane lines, and let's assume that the vehicle is centered in here, and the camera as well is centered too. Why would I look, for example, on a lane, for instance, on this area, or like obviously in the sky, it's not, or even here on the left-hand side? So what I need to do is then I need to kind of define a region of interest where I can be focusing on my efforts to actually look for these lines, okay? And again, that's how you perform region of interest masking. It's very easy, very simple. Let's see how can we perform it, okay? So in order to perform this, first of all, I'm gonna create an image, okay? Another image, which we'll call it the mask, okay? In a very simple form, I'm gonna set some pixels to 0, okay? And set some pixels to 1. Again, if you guys recall, 0 means, or black means 0, and 255 indicates white pixels. So what I'm going to do, then I'm going to define, again, this is a different image. This is what we call it the mask, okay? Then I'm gonna apply this mask to my original image, do something together to actually come up with a new image where the region of interest has been masked. All right, so what's my mask? Mask, we're gonna look something like this. I'm gonna set all the pixels in here to zeros, and all the pixels within the region of interest, I'm gonna set it to 255 or 1 or white, okay? Why am I doing this? Simply, I'm doing this because once I have the mask and I have my image, I can perform an AND operation, okay? Before covering what AND operation is, assuming that you don't have, you didn't cover, for example, digital logic design before, let's assume that we're performing multiplication in a very simple form. I'm gonna take the mask, I'm gonna take the image and multiply them together. Okay, what do you expect? Obviously, when you multiply 0 by whatever, that will set it down to black, okay, set it down to 0. So whatever is here, which is, dark or black, if you multiply by the image, the actual output from the image, all the pixels in here are going to be 0, right? We're going to be kind of, out of, that's not my interest, okay? And then anything multiplied by 1 would generate my anything, which is pretty much here, my pixels in here. If I multiply by 1, then it's kind of, I'm extracting that region from my image in here by performing that ANDing operation. All right, so let's take a look at what do you mean by AND. This is the AND operation, okay? Which is, again, this is kind of, if you take any digital logic design course, that's a kind of the ANDing gate. And if you guys can see here, if we have X and Y, again, that's kind of the logic table. If you have 0 and 0 in these two inputs, in A and B or X and Y, you come up with the output going to be 0. 0 and 1, that means 0. 1 and 0, that means 0. And 1 and 1, which means 1, which is simply put, both inputs down to the gate has to be 1 in order for it to fire, in order for it to actually generate 1, which is the last condition only. Again, think of it as a multiplication. And that's pretty much what we're going to be performing here. We have our image, we have our mask, we're going to do both, basically perform them together, okay? And that's what we're going to get. You set all the image to black or dark, and then you kept only your region of interest, which is the region that are highly likely are going to be finding a lane into it, all right? Okay, and that's pretty much all what I have for this section. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and let's see how can we program this. All right, thank you and see you in the next section.